Okay, so it's no secret at this point that Shonen Jump needs to do something, and fam, they need to do something quick, because as it stands right now, as of the recording of this video, they just ended 2 more series that were running for about roughly 4 years in the magazine, and pretty much were, I don't want to say pillars of the magazine, but were definitely some of the more notable and more prominent manga within the magazine. And that's the fact that those 2 series weren't the highest sellers either, because in case you missed it, back to back, week to week, they just announced that 2 series ended, one Mission Yozaku Family and another one being Undead Unluck. And regardless of the fact that, yeah, they may have not been 100 million copies sold or whatnot, they still sold millions of volumes and were pretty much staples for the last few years in Weekly Shonen Jump. So to see them end, it's like, okay, well, definitely Shonen Jump allowed them to kind of run their course, but at the same time, what's to come of Weekly Shonen Jump now that they ended 2 more? And the fact that this isn't what Shonen Jump was a few years ago, where you had some of the biggest Goliaths in manga that till this day changed the landscape of manga as a whole, from the Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaibas to Jujutsu Kaisen, of course My Hero Academia. All of these conglomerate series that were just massively popular are gone. They came to an end, whether it be that the authors wanted to end it their way or whatever the case may be. Ultimately, the big series that had a lot of people running to read Weekly Shonen Jump each and every week are gone now. In fact, let's take a look at what Shonen Jump has all together as it stands right now in the magazine, or at the very least, for the most part, the more notable ones. Subscribe and hit that bell to get more of these videos if you like what I got to say. Thank you so much. Of course, the one that everybody knows, yes, One Piece. They 110% have One Piece still on board, but honestly, how much longer can One Piece go? Let's be very, very honest here about what One Piece is as it stands right now. It's basically a legacy series and the main pillar that holds up Weekly Shonen Jump, but this is a series that has been going on since 1997. For the most part, when I talk to manga fans, anime fans, people in general that are interested in the medium, One Piece is kind of like, it's holding on to the fandom that it has as it stands right now, but it has to end at some given point, right? 1997 till now, at some point, Oda has also stated that we are in essentially the final saga like a year or 2 ago now, so it has to come to a close, and either way, it can only do so much. Black Clover, they removed, and it went to, you know, a quarterly release magazine. Mission Yozaku Family, gone. Me and Roboko, it has 1.5 million copies in circulation. It was never the most popular. Personally, I enjoy it, and let's be extremely clear that popularity isn't everything, but at the same time, this is a business, and the popularity of these series is something that is paramount to the success and the future of this magazine's continuation. If all of these series bomb tomorrow, that would be the end of Weekly Shonen Jump. So by no means am I trying to prop up the idea of, yeah, sales is all we care about. It's simply a fact that these series need to succeed for this magazine to continue moving forward. Jujutsu Kaisen, gone. Sakamoto Days, it's in an interesting and unique position. I know the Netflix anime is doing fantastic from what I understand. It is doing some of the greatest numbers of an anime that ever premiered on Netflix. It's at 7 million copies sold. So Sakamoto Days, I want to say, is an outlier of it's pretty popular. It's doing pretty well. Manga sales based off of the anime hasn't translated just yet. I haven't seen a major backlog boom for Sakamoto Days, but at the very least, the anime is popular. So Sakamoto Days, again, is an outlier to all of this. It's not something that is, you know, a long timer. Newcomers can still jump into it, and at the same time, it's still kind of got a long ways to go, I'd imagine. Witch Watch, not the most successful. I read a couple of chapters. I thought it was okay. It's at 2 million copies as it stands right now, and I'd imagine that next time around, some long runners or series that have been in the magazine for some time now come to an end, Witch Watch will probably be a part of that. I'm not sure, has the anime even happened for that year? This isn't something that is just exploding off the pages. Then there's the extreme outlier. Out of all of these things, this is the only series that has the brightest future. Everything else from here on out that we even are going to discuss, they have futures and there's potential or there's not, but ultimately this is the only series as it stands right now that 1000% is going to be extremely successful, because it already has 1 million copies in circulation with 3 volumes, and that's of course Kagura Bachi. It's a good manga from what I've read thus far, and ultimately, again, it's going to be successful, but that's one series that definitely has a bright future, that is kind of fairly still young in things. I think it has maybe 60, 70 chapters, which is still something good for the magazine, but this is something that is to be determined on how far things will go moving forward. It will be successful, but how successful remains to be determined. determined. Like, will it be Demon Slayer levels? Will it be, you know what I mean? My Hero Academia, gone, and we miss it greatly. Horikoshi-san! Blue Box, from what I checked out thus far, the anime, the art looks beautiful for it. 6.2 million. It's doing decent. It's not, you know, exploding again. Like, none of these series have done what some of the previous generations have done, to be extremely clear about things. But Blue Box, it's okay. Likewise with Akane Banashi, 2 million copies, and this is all as of like last month, these sales. So Akane Banashi, 2 million sales. Astro Royale, 250,000. That's probably going to be going soon. Hunter x Hunter, you already know the case in case you don't. Yoshihiro Togashi, author, he comes and goes, and it wasn't even supposed to return to Weekly Shonen Jump if I'm not mistaken. I'm still wondering what made that decision, because it coincided with Jujutsu Kaisen ending. Jujutsu Kaisen probably forced the return to Shonen Jump for Hunter x Hunter. The Elusive Samurai, the anime is out. Sales is at 4 million. It's not exploding off the pages either. Undead Unluck is over, and Ruri Dragon, it has its success, but is Ruri Dragon even in Weekly Shonen Jump anymore? I think that got removed as well, right? So with all that being said, Weekly Shonen Jump doesn't sound, at the moment at the very least, the most lucrative coming from some of these previous generations. Look at My Hero Academia. Within about a 10-year span, it went from a brand new series to 100 million sold. In a few years, Demon Slayer, Jujutsu Kaisen, 100 million sold. And that's just Weekly Shonen Jump, not even talking about and diving into what Kodansha has done in the past, from the Attack on Titans and all of the other conglomerates that they created as well. Like, those eras of manga were huge. They were, you know, anomalies, so to speak, but still, for the most part, it seems as though this next generation that has been coming in hasn't been able to live up to things. And personally, I feel like one of the major aspects, because, okay, here's the problem. Manga itself, and especially in Weekly Shonen Jump, isn't doing what it used to do. Like, if you even take a look at the top 50 best-selling manga of the week, I can show you right here on the screen the latest sales. Like, the #1 manga of the week sold like about 40,000 copies. 3 years ago, that would probably not even be top 15, top 20. That is a massive difference. And don't get me wrong, sometimes some series come in. Jujutsu Kaisen just recently did, like, you know, 1 million sales or whatnot within a week or two for its final volume. So there are still some series that are heavy hitters, but for the most part, yeah, series aren't even selling as a whole. And I think a lot of it has to do with not only, of course, the change of the industry, the fact that things is going more towards the anime being the, you know, entree of everything, and the manga is just like an appetizer, where also it used to be like, let's sell this manga. Hey, the anime can help sell this manga. Now it's like, hey, create manga so we can sell this anime. But even more so, I feel like anime and manga is starting to forget a little bit of its roots and just completely disregarding the things that made it popular to begin with, and even the predecessors that made them popular to begin with. And by no means am I saying, yo, we need to hang on to what was once, you know, the greatness. But ultimately, considering the boat that, like, Weekly Shonen Jump is in right now, it wouldn't hurt to take a couple steps back. And what I mean by that is, there are extremely popular IP that if tomorrow you was to put in Weekly Shonen Jump and add an extra new series or two alongside it, would change the game as a whole. Take, for example, the Dragon Ball and Naruto IPs. For example, if there was no Dragon Ball Super, or if Dragon Ball Super came to an end and Boruto came to an end, and they launched a new Dragon Ball manga and a new Naruto manga, and also added like 1 or 2 extra new battle series alongside it, and put that in Weekly Shonen Jump, you know, just hearing that right now, that is a recipe for success, and a recipe for, once again, garnering interest in this whole magazine and in this whole medium known as anime and manga. Literally right now, new Naruto, new Bleach, and new Dragon Ball manga are launched into the magazine, and it doesn't have to necessarily be with the same creators at the helm of it. Like, look what's happening with Boruto. Kishimoto just kind of oversees things, and Ikamoto does the bulk of things and whatnot. Like, you get something in that ballpark where Kishimoto doesn't really have to get involved. Toyotaro, if he were to continue on with the Dragon Ball IP, he would have to, you know, navigate towards the weekly serialization type of release or whatnot. But if you put those major IPs and you slide alongside new series that are really good, at the very least, guess what? You just created a ton of interest, because as it stands right now, yeah, it's awesome to try new IP, it's awesome to attempt to make a new hit, but clearly with Weekly Shonen Jump, and I say this with the utmost respect possible, it hasn't really worked. Outside of Kagurabachi and Sakamoto Days, that is finally reaping the benefits of the quality writing that it has had for many a years, there's not much else that is really jumping off the pages of Weekly Shonen Jump in interest around the magazine or manga itself that we've seen in years. Like, it's just facts that we just lost 2 to 3 of some of the biggest titles that the magazine has had that was garnering most or majority of the interest outside of One Piece, with My Hero Academia and Jujutsu Kaisen coming to an end. And of course, like I said, Black Clover being removed from the magazine as well was a pretty big blow. And honestly, I don't think that this just only applies to Weekly Shonen Jump. As I stated, manga sales as a whole, at the very least what we are able to view with the physical sales and whatnot, they're not great. They're really, really low. They're at an all-time low, at the very least, since I've been tracking sales of manga going on 5 to 10 years now. Things aren't as great and as lucrative as they once were, and I think something definitely has to change in the immediate future. If not, well, I don't need to say, you know what I'm saying. Although it also fascinates me and it makes me curious as Shueisha, the people that own Weekly Shonen Jump, what they are attempting and what they've been doing on the sides of Weekly Shonen Jump, because Weekly Shonen Jump is the most popular manga magazine in the world. That is fact. But they also have other manga magazines like, you know, Jump Giga, Jump Plus, the digital stuff, and they have pretty significant and popular manga in those magazines as well. Again, like Kaiju number 8, Spy Family, Dragon Ball Super, and Boruto, which is kind of insane to even think about that. Those are side magazines, and yet most of those manga outsell pretty much everything in Weekly Shonen Jump at this particular point, outside of One Piece and Kagurabachi that is coming up. Legit, Kaiju number 8, Spy Family, Dragon Ball Super, and Boruto, 4 monstrously popular series that are in other publications that Shueisha, the owner of Shonen Jump, owns, ultimately sell more than everything in that magazine. So I say all that to say again that they need to re-navigate and recalibrate what's going on and kind of get a little bit of a pulse check, so to speak, of the industry as a whole. If people, you know, the new generation aren't gravitating towards the newer titles that they're trying, the new offerings and whatnot, then maybe it's time to just take a look at history and see like, yo, some of that stuff worked. We could put some new stuff here, some of that, put it together, put it out, and either that or they could just keep holding on to One Piece until that ends, and then, hey!
This is for my day ones, gotta be clear. Still moving on, baby, but I wish she was here. Still moving on, baby, but I gotta get there. Still moving on, baby, I'ma never forget.